a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is a first for me. I am interviewing a hip hop artist, which I love. His name is Yukon, Yukmc Sleeman. Did I get that right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, close enough. Yukmc. That's what I go by. You can just call me Yuck.
Yeah, okay. And I just want to let the audience know I practiced it beforehand, but then it just goes out of my head immediately for some stupid reason. So
I'm not familiar with the hip hop stylings.
Now, you mentioned before we start recording that you have a classical background, right?
Yes. Well, so I was lucky enough to be the first grandchild born to my grandmother, Dr. Anita Sleeman. She was a doctor of music.
Oh.
She was a composer, a conductor. She played French horn and piano. She was a miraculous woman. She had a love for electronic music, unlike anybody else, which was great because I get to say that my grandma showed me how to use a computer and how to program techno, basically.
Very good.
So because of that upbringing, you know, I play trumpet, I play pretty much all brass instruments, piano, bass, guitar, kind of run the gamut. But because of the electronic side of it, I joined a hip hop group in 1997 as a musician. I was playing bass and keys, and they just kind of convinced me to start rapping, which I did somehow. And 26 years later, here I am still doing it. So that's kind of that.
Yeah, that's fantastic because not a lot of people I would think with a classical background go into hip hop.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, I was definitely raised with an eclectic music style, like from everybody. My grandma especially, like she loved Stravinsky, but she also loved Frank Zappa. So, I mean, I grew up with a really, really unique and eclectic collection of records at my disposal, pretty much any time. So, I was lucky enough to have a really, really varied upbringing in that sense, so that even in the hip hop I make, it's definitely not your average normal hip hop that you'd hear on the radio for sure. There's classical influences, there's rock influences, there's country influences. It's all across the board because that's what my upbringing was. So
now currently, like, are you a solo performer or do you perform with a band?
Well, I mean, I have a group that I'm part of. The Puck Crew is who I joined in 97. That's Previously Unknown Canadian Kids, one of the best names in music, if you ask me.
Okay.
And so the founding members of that actually moved to Japan. Both of them are from here, but they both brothers now live in Japan, married to Japanese girls, have kids, everything like that. So while I'm still part of them, we do everything over the internet.
Okay.
So they'll send me an instrumental, I'll record my acapella, I'll send them the acapella and the mix guide back. They'll master it and release it, vice versa as well. I'll send them a beat, they'll send me their acapellas and I master that. We have a side project as well that's just the three of us called The Crazy Shits, and that's something we're working on right now. We have a 15-song record that I'm actually producing everything for, so that's pretty exciting.
Right.
And then I am a solo artist as well. We do all of this through the largest Creative Commons record label in North America, and that's Block Global Records.
Oh, okay.
They are amazing. They take care of all the artwork and everything like that, the distribution, the release, and we just don't charge anything for it. So I don't get paid for it, which is fine because I don't want to. I want to get paid to perform.
Yeah.
And then my fans don't have to pay to get it. It's free downloads, free streaming anytime. If they want to support, they can, but not mandatory. And that's the way I believe music should be shared.
Right. Yeah.
Shouldn't have to pay 99 cents for a song online you maybe never heard before. It doesn't make any sense. So.
Right. Yeah. And music is so important to the world, right?
That's right. It's the only global language.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know, it's kind of interesting because at the same time, you also make birdhouses, right?
I do make birdhouses. Yeah, it's true.
Well, I was looking on your Facebook page and there's some really unique looking birdhouses you have.
I call them whimsical birdhouses for ornamental display.
Oh, okay.
So not necessarily functioning birdhouses, like you're not having a bird on the pirate ship, for instance. Like that's not happening.
And
But one of the farms is functional. It's got the feeder tube, it's got the trough, it's got everything like that. So
okay.
I just kind of start building and go with where it goes. And it's one more of my creative outlets that I need to have to stay somewhat sane. And here I am.
I'm just looking for this one sold, but I was hoping I can show this to the audience. I don't know how.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Oh, it's hard to get there. This maybe you can see it there.
Yeah, that was my lighthouse one. So each one has like an LED light in the bottom,
Right.
replicating a fireplace, and that one actually reflected it out of the top window as well. I put a mirror paper inside, and it reflected the light out the lighthouse hole, so it had the actual lighthouse function as well.
Right. Now, do you sell those at markets or
I usually sell them at craft fairs, stuff like that. I mean, January is not a particularly busy time for craft fairs, as it turns out.
yeah.
And I'm currently in the process of transitioning to Squamish, where my son is. So I was living in the city, and now I'm moving up to Squamish, and it's kind of been my focus right now. But I'm definitely going to get back to it. I love it. It's super relaxing and calming. It's basically the exact opposite of making music. So when I make music, I get super excited. I'll go till 5 a.m. because I just have so much energy.
Yeah.
And then when making birdhouses, I can go till like 2 a.m. But I'll be ready to pass out at that time.
But it's really like I think about people who are artistic, and they really have to have different outlets for the different things that they do, right?
And I go through phases, actually. So like I did a phase where all I was doing was pencil, crayon, and marker drawings. And I did like 5 months of just straight drawings and nothing else. And then that kind of ran its course, and I started making the birdhouses, and the music kind of feeds off of it. When I'm doing something that is satisfying that creative outlet, like the birdhouses, I don't tend to do as much music, because I'm getting that full spectrum need of creativity. If I'm doing something like, sketches, then that kind of triggers the music part, where then I'm like, oh, that makes me think of this. And I mean, I would say that I probably have 50 or 60 instrumentals that I've made that just require me recording lyrics over. But at all times, I've got my raps being written, my instrumentals being made, whenever I get struck by it. And yeah, it's a bizarre process that a lot of people who aren't the same way don't understand, and that's okay. I don't need them to.
Exactly. We have to be allowed to do what works best for us, right?
Absolutely.
I have a musical friend who also is an artist, and he incorporates both. Yeah, which is
okay.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting, so that's kind of cool. Oh, here we have somebody.
Maybe I should make it so each of my birdhouses plays one of my songs.
Oh, really good idea.
A bad idea. They have the technology.
Get a birdhouse, get a CD or something.
Oh no, I mean, my son we took him to Build-A-Bear, and they have a little recorder that every time you press it, it plays the same thing over and over. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm actually thinking that might be something that's actually technically possible.
Why not?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
So
love
a little clip, like, if you like this, scan this QR code. I'm a friend of technology and a foe of technology all at the same time.
When it works, it works.
I rely on it in every way, but I just am frustrated by it in every way at the same time. It's making us all lazy. It's making us not think for ourselves anywhere near as much as we used to. Yeah. But it sure does make things a lot easier in the creative aspect. The process I had to go through to record music before was outrageous. Before the digital aspect, it was connecting 15 things to a tape deck and hoping that you got the best quality out of your tape.
Doing something like this, I would never have been able to do.
Right. No, exactly. That's it. And so there's pros and cons, in my opinion. Hopefully the pros outweigh the cons.
Well, I agree with you. Like I've been able to set my thermostats using my phone, but I had trouble. I had to read something to do with my Wi-Fi. So now I can't adjust my thermostats. I don't understand the process of fixing it. So I have to wait for somebody to come and do it for me. So in that sense, frustrating, but at the same time, I just use my phone to set my thermostat whenever room
The
I'm.
fact that we've gotten to that level is amazing in a lot of ways. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great that though that we have it, like you said, when you think about maybe your parents, my parents' time, my grandparents, they lived in a time where there was no airplanes, so if you look at where we are today compared to way,
No airplanes, yeah. Well,
interesting, isn't it?
it is, and that's kind of funny that you mentioned that because my dad was born on a 4,000-acre cattle ranch in Nevada, and that's his mom is my music grandma, so she actually was a ranch wife for 13 years on a cattle ranch, and still somehow managed to get her doctorate at 47 years old from the University of Southern California after 6 kids and 3 miscarriages, and I'm telling you, that's special right there.
Yeah, for sure. My mother had.
But the lack of technology. My dad had a fountain pen and a piece of paper. That was his entertainment. They had a radio.
When I was a kid, that's all we had was a radio.
Yeah. Well, even me growing up, like we had, I had video games when I was a kid and all that. But before that, like if we were driving, we used to love just listening to the hockey games on the radio, or just talk radio, anything like that. It was a big part of my life growing up. I have a soft spot for radio all the way.
It's fun to think back about the way it was and how we move forward. The things that your son will probably never know, like my kids, would never saw. We had an out. We had an outhouse, and 9 years old before I owned a toothbrush. All these type of things, right?
Wow. Yeah. Exactly. And that's it. Like it's not that long ago that was the case.
Yeah.
And you look at where technology's gone, and I guess probably that's it. The speed of technology is what's the most frightening. How quickly everything is changing and going the way of us being less involved, I guess.
And it's hard to keep up too, I think.
Yeah.
Let's get back to your music for a second. Like when you're when you're doing a rap, what inspires you to write whatever it is you're going to be writing?
That's a great question. I actually have a very, very specific process that I've stuck with basically since the beginning. And that is I do my instrumental first. And at the end of making the instrumental, which is a combination of samples and, parts of it I fill in with my synth and my virtual synth. And then I put it all together. I finish, I master the instrumental. And once it's done, I name it. I take the feeling from it and I give it the title.
Right.
And then based on the title that I've given it, that's what I write my rap on. And so what I do is I take personal experiences that I've had, and I don't necessarily directly translate that to the song, but I use it as the inspiration for writing the lyrics. So what I write about for the most part is factual information about me. I don't write about stuff, I don't write about gats. I don't write about hoes or Raris or all this other stuff that the typical rapper will rap about. I rap about riding the bus and not having enough money to buy groceries and how high the rent is and stuff like that. And because of that, I've stayed true to who I am for the entire time I've done it, which is 26 years of rapping. I have not changed who I am. I will not change who I am. I like to, I tell stories as well that are, I'm writing one right now called The Storm. I've never been on a pirate ship in a storm in the 1800s, but that's what my story is going to be. And I'm able to channel that and still stay true to who I am because the style is still kind of the same. And I'm delivering from a place of me, not trying to be somebody else. So yeah, that's the process.
When you were younger, who were some of the musicians or whatever that inspired you or that you thought were great?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I was in a youth orchestra, so I was more into the classical stuff. It was actually really great. The Delta Youth Orchestra is who I was a part of. My grandma was one of the founders in 1970, so that was a proud moment for her when I made second trumpet. And then also in that time, I started playing percussion, so I was a percussionist and second trumpet player for like 3 years. Yeah. One of the really awesome experiences we had was we got to go to Europe for 5 weeks. We went to 4 countries. We went to Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Netherlands. And just amazing. Spent like almost a week with a billet family to start, where they had kegs of beer for us at the welcome party. I was 14. Germany. Here's your stein, please fill. I was like, okay. Bunch of kids all drunk. Um, and then we went to Salzburg in Austria. And what we got to do was we went to Mozart Square. We saw his first composition behind like 6 inches of glass. They had the statue there. So we set up underneath the statue and we did a Mozart concert for Mozart, which was really, really spectacular.
My stepson, I call him my bonus son, lives in Vienna, and we were there, and it's like everywhere you go, there's classical Mozart musicians of
Everything.
everywhere performing, and it's just wow, what a wonderful experience that was.
That's right. So yeah, so I mean, up until that point, I'd say like around 13, 14, it was basically like classical music for me. Some jazz, but like I like Tchaikovsky. I was a big fan of Stravinsky too, but mostly because that was my grandma's favorite composer.
Right.
Dave Brubeck, big fan of the Dave Brubeck Quartet. Yeah, and then when I turned 15, I discovered this music called rap with a group called Public Enemy, and I actually the first cassette I ever bought on my own was the first Public Enemy record, and it completely changed my life. I didn't know that sounds like that were possible. I didn't know that anger and compassion and integrity were possible in music in that form. And so I became a big fan of the genre, but never intended on being part of it. Right. In that sense. It was not something that I thought I was going to do. Oh, I'm going to be a rapper, or I'm going to be a hip hop musician. No. I loved it, but you know, I was a product. I was a child of many different music styles. I did not ever expect hip hop to be the one that I set on, and yeah, it's interesting because once I started writing hip hop, I couldn't stop. It was like it was always there, and I just didn't realize it. And now I mean, I'd say probably in my life, I've written close to 1,000 raps. And I don't think that's I think that's probably on the low side, actually. When I think of how many times I've lost all my raps on my phone, or the stacks and stacks of paper I have in my storage locker, you know, it's definitely my passion. It's definitely the genre that I will continue to do till the day I pass.
Yeah, I find it just so interesting that the journeys people take to get where they are. You know, like I grew up listening to country, old, you know, Hank Snow, and that's what my parents listened to. But I am a person who enjoys rock more than anything. Although, like like all kinds of music, but I prefer something that makes me want to. It makes me want to feel like I want to dance. That's my favorite kind of music. You know.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like to be open. I like that when anybody's open to other alternatives, music styles. My son is I don't know what you call it. He builds and plays synthesizers, I guess. He writes and performs his own music.
Producer, yeah.
You know, and I love that. Right? Like, where does that come from? You know, like you know, where's that come from? He certainly didn't have that in his background. So
I did have it in my background, though. I had the electronic part anyways. I was lucky in that.
Hip hop is what I'm referring to. You didn't have that in
No, I had no hip hop from anybody else in the family, that's for sure.
But that's what's so cool. I love that uniqueness, you know. So when are you going to be moving soon?
I'm already in the process. I'm up in Squamish now, so I'm just I'm securing a job tomorrow, and then I have a place that I've just got to finish securing, and the move is done. So hopefully it won't take more than a couple of days. You know, my son's 6, and I definitely want to have the experience of being near him at all times. And Squamish is a great place to live. I lived here for over a decade before and had probably my most musical success while I was here. I performed at the original Live at Squamish Festival as one of the only hip hop acts. I played at the Surf Festival a couple of times, you know, did some good shows around town. So I'm happy to be back there. Happy to be back.
Yeah, very nice. I think we'll end it on that note. But I want to stay on camera, and you're going to have to remind me how to pronounce the middle part. It's Yukon Yuck. Well, just call you Yuck Sleeman. How's that?
Yukmc.
Yukmc. Okay. And if people want to find you,
so you can go to blocksonic.com and just search through the artist for Yukmc. Also, I've I've taken on making my own music videos. I've made 10 in the last year. So if you go to YouTube and you search YUK space MC, you'll see me come up right away.
Wait a minute.
I have some
Why-
AI videos I've done. I did an animated one in kind of the South Park animation style. I've done some serious ones. I've done some hilarious ones. I have my son dancing in one where he's
Nice.
just basically falling, but it looks like dancing the way I've done it. So,
That was fantastic.
so yeah, that would be where you could find me. And hey, thanks, Nancy. Thank you so much for taking the time.
You're welcome. And to the audience, thank you for watching the show. I hope you continue to do so. Take care and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.